Everybody, I see you, Cohagen. I see you, Holster. I see you, Ozzy, my friend, and DJ as well. It's good to see everybody. Hopefully, everyone is getting a little, adjusted to the whole. Hey, YouTube handle thing is acting wonky. Hopefully, everyone's getting adjusted to that, but it's good to see everybody. Let me refresh my page here to make sure everything's on the up and up and there's no skipping, there's no cut off words or everything. We need to go ahead and get started because we got Sakamoto days after this and then a One Piece episode after that. So I got a bit of a hefty day today. Let's begin, shall we? Yo, peoples! Actually, hold on, let me see. Are we good? Yes, we are good! Qushu 92 here. Welcome back to more One Piece. Also, gotta give a shout out to Ozzy over here, being a legendary member for 36 months. Applause! Applause for Ozzy. Thank you, sir. 36 months? 36 months? I'm gonna need to make a new emoji for people who have gone over like 12 months or like a certain number of years. I gotta update this stuff. But it's good to see everybody. Hi, hello, how are you? Busy day for Qushu, lots of reactions. Yeah, I got a lot to do. And Monday's gonna be equally busy because we got a One Piece Reflections, and we also have another session of me reading the solo leveling novel. So Monday is going to be very busy. So Tuesday is when we'll be able to play Death Stranding again. And since Tuesday will technically be the first day of July, I am going to be on a time clock to get through Death Stranding before Donkey Kong Bonanza releases later that month on the 17th. So there's a lot of things to take care of, a lot of things to do, and I am looking forward to all of it. Got a whole July update thing I need to do for all of you guys, and some things for some members as well. Don't worry, I got you guys. I will make sure that you guys as members are taken care of as well, but it's good to see everyone. Let's get started. In the last chapter of One Piece, everybody was preparing to go back up to the Sun World to deal with the fact that Emu and the rest of the turned giants are ransacking the entire of the upper area. But now, before everyone else goes up, Luffy and Harudin stay behind to listen to the story of what happened that day when Harold was killed. There was so many things that happened because now we are currently in a flashback 109 years ago to a 15-year-old Harold who was seen as a delinquent. He was a massive jerk. So we are going a century into the past to learn about King Harold as he was when he was younger and see how the events lead up to what happened the day Loki and Chief Jarl walked in on him being skewered and killed by his own men. So let's see what happens. Also, it shows that we are going to be going on break after this particular chapter. So we'll be on break. But now let's start with chapter 1153, The Birth of Loki. The birth of Loki? We're already getting that? How quickly are we about to go through these flashbacks? Let's find out. Let me make sure my voice is good, my mic sounds nice, everything sounds good. Yes, happy about it. The chapter 1153, The Birth of Loki. And we have a cover page here. Ogre Child Yamato's Golden Harvest Surrogate Pilgrimage Volume 37. How long has this cover story been going on? Are we seriously about to see Yamato go throughout all of Wano, visiting everybody? Surrogate Pilgrimage, Volume 37, Daimyo of Ringo, Kikunojo, and Boss Ocho. So, all of the vassals of Odin have become the new daimyos of the separate regions of Wano. So we've already seen Kawamatsu. We've seen Inuarashi and Nekamamushi, right? We already seen them, right? We've already seen Kawamatsu. we haven't seen Denjiro, right? I don't think we've seen Denjiro. Frankly, it's been a while since we started this pilgrimage, so I'm kind of iffy on all of them. But hey, we see Kiku. Kiku, the new daimyo of Ringo. And Boss Ocho's in the background as well. So they're saying hi to each other, and Kiku is launching at Yamato. Mind you, I love the fact that there's an attention to detail to the fact that Kiku no longer has a left arm because of Kaido slicing hers off. So, just a little detail. It's very easy to get into that rut where you're seeing someone launch at another person and they have both arms outstretched, but that's another key detail right there. What is it about Oda and chopping people's left arms off? We got Shanks, we got Kiku, we got Kid. So many people without a whole left arm. What is it about the left arm that he don't like? But yeah, that's the cover story. So, narration. Prince Harold of Elbaf lived out his rather unhinged childhood years alongside Dory and Broggy. Yo, Dory and Broggy as kids. And King Harold, being of the ancient giant race, pretty much almost towers over Dory and Broggy when they were children. That's how big he is. And we see Dory and Broggy, Dory having that same smile, Broggy having that same smile. Mind you, they're not laughing here, but we see the parents who are exasperated about King Harold as a kid. Thanks to his innate size and strength, gifts from his ancient giant blood, as well as his noble status, he developed an inflated sense of self, and no one could stop him from growing into a royal pain. So now it shows him growing up, and he's now starting to terrify even the kids. And then it cuts to Harold, who's chilling on his ship, while all sorts of things are happening. Everyone outside of Elbaf is so tiny and pitiful and boring. Don't you agree? Of course, Your Majesty. You're exactly right. And then it shows an explosion. Hold on. It shows an Wait a minute. Hold on. This is a weird coincidence that he's digging in his nose and he flicks it, and then there's a sudden explosion where he flicks it towards. I am not going to say that he has the bomb fruit. Like Mr. What is his name? Mr. 5? No. Which member of Baroque Works had the bomb fruit? All the way back at Whiskey Peak. No, it's a weird coincidence that he flicks his booger across the sea, and then all of a sudden there's an explosion a little distance off. Maybe I'm reaching. I'm probably reaching. Please ignore it. Don't you agree? Of course, Your Majesty. You're exactly right. Bunt Kingdom, New World. Come one, come all, marvel at the 10-meter woman. Feel the earth tremble as she walks. Cover your ears when she barks thunder, a rare giant from the exotic land of Elbaf. Feast your eyes on Ida. And Ida the giant, she's roaring at everyone, while the ringmaster is, showing this off to all the normal-sized humans. We're in the Bunt Kingdom. Step away from the cage if you don't want to be hurt. He's not laughing. I'm doing that on my own. Turning a giant into a sick sideshow? They've got some nerve. And it cuts to him laughing because apparently he ransacked the entire Bunt Kingdom. Barra! Barra! Yeah! They thought that Elbaf was a joke. Well, who's laughing now? And then Ida goes, Who are you? No need to thank me. I'm the king of Elbaf. I won't stand to see my homeland disrespected like that. And then all of a sudden, Ida slaps Harold in the face. So hard it folds his whole face over. Your Majesty! King Harold! What? And then Harold, holding his cheek with tears starting to come out of his, all like, huh? And then Ida goes, Turn the ship around. I need to apologize. So many people were hurt back there. Are you insane? You care about that mini kingdom of tiny humans? And then It shows Ida holding a fist, and she beat up on Harold again. She beat this man down.
Do I have to hit you again?
King Harold!
They saved my life when I washed up on their shore and gave me a job to do. They were kind enough to help me make a living until I was fully healed. What do you mean, tiny humans? Just because you happen to be born huge and are coincidentally strong and brutish? You actually think that makes you better than humans?
Ooh. The same way Queen Otohime changed the mindset of Saint Miasgard, Ida may be doing the same exact thing to Harold here. Y'all didn't think I remembered Otohime. The power of words in the world of One Piece.
You actually think that makes you better than humans? How can you be so arrogant? It's pathetic!
And mind you, she's saying this while she has tears in her eyes.
This is why everyone thinks that all giants are barbaric and brutish as Elbaf!
Just because I was born huge? And they go back to the Bunt Kingdom, and Harold is kind of butting his lip, while Ida goes out of her way to help the people of the Bunt Kingdom to repair their homes, and the ringleader, the dude that was showing off Ida, he's there as well. He's got bandages as well as either that's his wife or someone close to him or just another citizen. Everyone's got like bandages and stuff because of what King Harold did, but they're chill because of Ida. Women are strong in the world of One Piece, not just physically, but on a level that allows people to connect with them. And there's a lot of women like that in One Piece, from Ripley to Robin to Bello Betty. To Boa Hancock. There's a lot of influential women who are capable of swaying the hearts of many. Otohime, without having to raise a single finger. Women have a lot of power. Never let it be said that Oda doesn't know how to write powerful women. Now, some people may have an issue with how he draws them, but let's not pretend like he doesn't know how to write strong women in this story. But Ida's smiling. Sorry, I'm getting off track here. Let's keep going. Ida's smiling while she's helping everyone out. Should we just set sail, King Harold? Why are you all just spacing out? Huh? Go and help her, you ninnies! That town is as tiny as a model. It's easy work. Yes, sir! And all the giants that were with Harold go out of their way to help the kingdom of the Bunt Kingdom. Their method of construction is completely different from ours. We should tell everyone about it when we return to Elbaf. I want to bring home some of their spices. I've never tasted flavors like this before. Notice how hardy their fabric is? And when it cuts to Harold, it shows Ida having Harold bow his head to the king of the Bunt Kingdom. And yet it's so fine. These humans are more skilled than we realized. And it shows children climbing all over Harold. And apparently they're either making fun of him or just pointing at the fact that he's so huge. And it shows Harold and the giants dancing and having fun with the people of the Bunt Kingdom. You have to see things from their eye level, Harold. Nothing in the world is meant to be destroyed. And then it cuts to Ida showing where she comes from. I was born on Samwanai. I was born on Samwanai Island in the South Blue. After some twists and turns, my life's path brought me here. So, you crossed the Serpent of Blood? You mean the Red Line? Well, yes, which is why I can't go back home. They call the Red Line the Serpent of Blood? They see that as the Jormungandr of the world, huh? A serpent that circles the entire world. I'm making an assumption here, but I just pointed out the similarities. The Serpent of Blood Red Line is similar to the Jormungandr of Norse mythology. So you crossed the Serpent of Blood? You mean the Red Line? Well, yes, which is why I can't go back home. Then come to Elbaf. We're not as barbaric as you say. Or, maybe I was mistaken about you. Maybe I was mistaken about you too. And then the giants are noticing King Harold's changed. Yeah, it's a bit creepy. I bet it won't last long. Elbaf 105 years ago. And then he cuts back to Elbaf with Harold screaming, I wish to atone for all of my countless crimes. What's gotten into you, Harold? I may be out of the country more often than I'd wish, but it is only to join hands with our neighbors and ask them to teach us their culture. If we learn from the rest of the world, we can make our land and lives richer. And then he cuts to other giants going, yeah, but Dory and Brogy are still raising heck out there. Because Dory and Brogy are doing their own thing. Probably around the time when they started to go to Little Garden and have a fight over 100 years, and they stayed there. And then back to Harold speaking to the rest of the citizens. They are good friends of mine, but they all have always been eccentric. They are cordial with humankind and follow a code of honor. That's true. It doesn't hurt that they can fight, of course, but if they pose too much of a threat to other nations, we may have to rein them in. And then we cut back to Jarl and Yorl. Remember, this is before Big Mom showed up. Za-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. What a turnabout. Boo-ja-ja-ja-ja-ja. Meeting new people took him on a journey. Harold. No, Elbaf. He's blessed with good luck. And it shows Ida in the midst of the crowd as well. Then it cuts to the Harold ship out at sea. And then it cuts to them talking about Harold as he goes around. For example, by sending diplomats back and forth, we can help... Oh, wait, this is Harold. For example, by sending diplomats back and forth, we can help deepen the ties and friendship between nations. I see. So we're each taking hostages then. Don't say it like that. It means that other countries get to be friends, unless the people in them are connected somehow. Elbaf, 81 years ago, Fishermen Village, Eastern Elbaf. The baby's been born? Congratulations, Harold and Ida. Thank you all, and now Ida and I can... No, you are forbidden from marrying her. The royal line must remain pure of blood. And it cuts to other giants who are voicing their discomfort with the fact that Ida is not someone who comes from Elbaf. I'm sorry, Ida. It galls me that it must come to this. This is just how the culture works. You can't get emotional and fight against it. You're always welcome in our village, Ida. As long as you live in the same country as Daddy, you'll be happy, right, Harudin? And this is when Harudin is born. This is when Harudin is born. And he's just happy to be around his mom. This is your true betrothed, Harold. Estrid's blood is pure and ancient. She is one of the she is the one worthy of being our queen. It's so odd that because mind you, there are four giant individuals who are cloaked in shadow who are voicing their opinion. I was born in the Brewers' village to the north, and I studied geomancy. Elbaf, Brewer's village, prestigious daughter, Estrid. And mind you, this is a very beautiful giant woman. Very beautiful giant woman. However, I get a weird vibe from her. I was born in the Brewers' village to the north, and I study geomancy. It is my fate to love you for the rest of my life. Forget all about that woman and child to the east. No, Good heavens! The spirit is escaping to the east. Your good luck is getting away. We must close those windows at once. Huh? And that mirror, it's in the 5-star kill position. Destroy it at once. What the heck is with this lady? Bruh, Harold has... What? Harold has a horse, and it's a 6-legged horse. No, it's an 8-legged horse. This is Sleipnir. This is literally Odin's horse. This is Asla, the horse of good fortune. It's a gift from my clan. The perfect mount for you, King Harold. I have no doubt that this horse will bring you good luck.
It's enormous. Why does it have 8 legs? Guards, bring all the jewels and gold in the treasury to my chambers.
I'm already getting a bad vibe from this woman. I am getting a bad vibe from this woman.
This is to ensure that the fortunes of wind and earth are sent in His Majesty's direction. Also, inform the scullery maids that from this day forward, the king and I will be using the fine silver to eat all of our meals.
Is she just after luxury? Yeah, I ain't saying she a gold digger. But, cutting from that, about 70 years ago, in an era when the rigors of the sea made it difficult to maintain trade between islands, Elbav's skill at navigation was the envy of other nations. There's a star to the north that never moves called the Pole Star. And this is when Harold is getting older and older.
You said you met a mermaid, King Harold?
Yes, I have at last. Fishmen too. In the kingdom where those with fish blood live, their king has a newborn heir named Neptune. Homo. What is it? What is King Neptune's laugh? Jamon. But yeah, he's talking about Elbaf. He's talking about Neptune, not Elbaf, but he's talking about King Neptune. Sorry, I'm trying to remember everything, the laughs and the names and everything. But he's talking about Neptune being born. The kingdom has a newborn heir named Neptune. All the creatures of the sea, not just the mermaids and fishmen, were engaged in a grand celebration that spanned the seafloor.
Ooh.
And now we're just skimming through this flashback. It's not a long one. Aurus Castle, Elbaf, 63 years ago, while Harold was away from home.
Congratulations, my queen. It's a very healthy boy. His name is Loki. The king and I decided on it. Now, show me my baby.
As it shows Estrid reaching out for her son. And we see Loki and Loki's eyes. Loki is born with little mini horns, and his eyes are dark. His eyes are not like white sclera with colored irises. His eyes are black with lighted irises. He literally looks like a baby demon being born. And she looks absolutely terrified. I don't know if there's any Marvel fans out there, but she has the same expression on her face as Thanos' mother when he was born.
It's terrifying!
Your Majesty!
It's horrid! What is that thing? That is no son of mine! Please, Your Majesty, try to remain calm. Tell the kingdom that it was stillborn.
You can't be serious. And then it shows Loki. Reaching out for his mother.
It's accursed! Just look at that baby! It's a monster!
The Prince of... And here, the narration looks like it's on parchment paper now. The Prince of Elbaf grasped for the empty air, but no hands reached out to envelop his own. Stop, Your Majesty! He's the royal heir! And Estrid takes Loki. He's the royal heir! The most unfortunate of all living creatures is the one whose very existence is denied by its mother in the moment of its birth.
Do you hear me? A born no child! Do not tell a soul about this!
Estrid threw Loki out the window and let him drop into the underworld. Because of Loki's appearance, she threw him out the window. But what are you planning to do?
I'm going back home. I never want to bear another child.
Your Majesty, Head guardsman!
Down in the underworld. What about the underworld?
Loki is shown after having been thrown out of the window and into the underworld. Loki, as a baby, is still shown climbing Elbaf itself to get back up there. And when that happens, it shows that someone else is down there. It shows that baby Loki is shown climbing up the outside of the tree of Elbaf. But then it shows that someone else, it's either someone else is down there or baby Loki fell back down into the underworld itself. You know, hurt and bleeding all over. And then it cuts back to Oris Castle, where it shows Queen Estrid fell ill.
Get rid of the child. There was a prophecy before it was even born.
The prophecy said that King Harold would one day be killed by his own son.
And no, the prophecy said that King Harold would one day be killed by his own son.
Not that madness again. And while Harold was busy banging his head against the problem of national relations, the world government has stepped in to block our path again. Why can't countries be free to decide for themselves? Then it cuts back to Ida, who's with her son Harudin.
Hey, can I see the baby too? He's your brother.
He's not your son, so he's not my brother.
Aw, you're even sweet like that too.
And she kisses her son on the cheek. All of the misfortunes that would fall upon Elbaf would be known as Loki's curse. And that is the end of the chapter.
Bruh!
Bruh. He killed a giant bear? Oh, is that what that is? Baby Loki got that Odin strength? And he killed a whole bear when he was... I now understand what that is! Loki is not covered in blood of his own making. He is covered in blood of his own making because he's bleeding from the nose and the mouth and everyone else. But as a baby, he killed and beheaded a bear. As a baby. What is it with certain overpowered people in One Piece killing all these creatures nonchalantly when they are babies? See, first we had Big Mom when she was a child, killing a bear by slapping in the face and literally breaking its entire head. Then we have Odin as a baby, launching his wet nurse over his crib, and now we have Loki as a baby, straight up beheading and killing a bear. And mind you, these are Elbaf bears. They are giant bears. And as a baby, Loki killed one? What is it with giant babies being busted in this story? That's a horrifying sight, though, seeing baby Loki still trying to climb up Elbaf to get back into the sun world where his mother is. And I'm already playing Death Stranding 2, so me and babies, I'm in a bit of an emotional state to dealing with babies right now. So because of that game, but goodness. He's just been born today. He's less than 24 hours old. He's less than a day old, a full day old, and he's already killed a bear. Katakuri covered his mouth while Loki covers his eyes. Nice parallel there. Yeah, and they both grew up to be overpowered people. Katakuri being the strongest in the Big Mom crew outside of Big Mom herself. Loki being an absolute calamity, an absolute disaster to the point where he has to be chained up at the bottom of Elbaf. This dude grew up with his mother wishing for him to die. Already. And now we have a feeling of what Loki's eyes look like. Or possibly what they used to look like. Because now there's the assumption, and you guys have mentioned it, now that there's an assumption that maybe they pluck his literal eyes out. So let me go back and see what you guys have all said so we can go through. It's good to see everyone here. Also, everyone, if you can, update your handles to be your regular YouTube names as well, because with whatever YouTube has decided to do, if your name is not the same, if your YouTube handle is not the same as the name I normally see you with, I may not recognize it immediately because they're off doing some foolishness right now. And that's the reason why it's been throwing me for a loop when I see my regulars pop in, but their names don't match what I normally see. So I just thought I'd let you guys know ahead of time. Birth of Loki, so we're definitely going to be ending up 63 years in the past at some point in this chapter. Cover story has been going on for over a year now. Yeah, it's been a while. We saw Denjiro. He was the first one we saw disciplining those kids throwing rocks at Yamato. I don't think we've seen Kinemon yet, but I could be wrong. Dorian Bragi would be 51 years old, I think, here. So divide that by 3. That's 17 and 15 in human years. You're right, it was Mr. 5. Hey, look at me! The power of a woman's words, be it good or bad. Yep. Oh, CD is good to see you as well. Funny enough, Otohime shares the same birthday as Kid. No, let's see. Yeah, because it comes with the beauty and the feminine aura. That's why. Ida is also uniquely drawn too compared to what Oda usually draws. I like the switch up. I do as well. She is not an over-exaggerated beauty like some women can be in One Piece. And let's admit it, some of these women in this story in One Piece can be overly beautiful sometimes, to the point where it can be a bit ridiculous. So it's nice to see some women with shapes that are more toned down. So it's very welcome. I think I remember Oda saying that while he was drawing Egghead, he put a lot of practice into drawing butts, but Oda, being Oda based and a man of culture, he is indeed, because there is nothing wrong with any of that. Kitty, good to see you as well. I see you in chat. So it's a dried up blood that forms a rock. Kitty is in the building. Yes, she is. 81 years ago, Harudin is born. Here comes Elbaf politics. She looks like if Vivi was a giant appearance-wise. Estrid, she almost looks like Ripley without the tattoos. Jelly, that's what's wrong. Materialistic. Yeah, materialistics. I'll say it for the team I'm in from the hood. She, yeah, she a gold digger. He has cool eyes, snake eyes, demon eyes, one could say. They remind me of Sauron. In Romania, we call them parachutes. Gotcha. I don't ever want to hear about all the bad fathers in One Piece. They may have abandoned their kids, but at least they didn't disown them like Estrid did. She's a terrible mother, just like Big Mom. At least there are no fathers in One Piece who throw their children out of the castle to literally die at the bottom of the nation. She literally threw her baby outside. The only other father I have known who'd literally try and drop their child to their deaths was literally Heihachi in Tekken. Is he somewhat serpent connected? Don't know. We don't know what the deal is with his eyes and why they look like that. No wonder Loki turned out the way he did. You can see him falling from the distance. Exactly. I thought that was Estrid jumping because she didn't want to be in the same room with her child and it drove her insane. I thought that was her, but no, she took the baby and threw it outside. The heck is with babies dying everywhere I go? Kitty, I know, I'm thinking to myself, first in a video game, and now here. Just threw him into the underworld and off Elbaf. Estrid's gonna see me in a boxing ring. Worst mother in One Piece, worst parent besides Judge. Judge kept his son alive but imprisoned him. That's still wrong though. And then you put an iron mask over your child so you don't look at your failure of a son, Sanji. That's already bad. Let's see, Holster, Q isn't where you are. Oh, don't worry. Don't worry about that, Kitty. I never have chat up while I'm reading, specifically for that reason, just in case anyone reads ahead of me. I never have chat up. That's the reason why I read the chapter first and then go back through everything you guys have said, because I want to avoid that. That happened to me years ago, and I've been reading the stuff first I read the stuff first and then come back to you guys. Holster, he killed a giant bear. Yeah. The baby killed a bear. Exactly, Holster. He is a G and not G as in giant. Man, oh man, I'm afraid they will pluck out Loki's eyes. He is. I'm on the part where we see baby Loki is climbing up. That final panel with Loki climbing doesn't feel One Piece. Oda is so good with backstory, such a great writer. Just reading the end of the chapter now. Oda and his storytelling is phenomenal. It is. Especially when it is flashbacks. Flashbacks are some of the best sections. Some of the best sections of One Piece. Because we learn so much. Now, it is yet to be seen why Loki has the bandages over his eyes. Whether something has to do with his eyes, maybe they're unique, or his eyes get taken from him. There's so many things we have to go over. Also, another thing we have to address is, and mind you, I'll go full on in length about all the stuff that's happened recently, because we still got the One Piece reflections for tomorrow, so I don't want to go too in-depth about some of the stuff that's happened in these chapters, so I hope to see you guys there. But we also hear that the world government is literally blocking the giants from trying to establish relations with other nations. They literally don't want the giants to get in good with anybody. Because right here, he says the world government has stepped in to block our path again. Why can't countries be free to decide for themselves? So the world government is literally trying to stop the giants and stop King Harold from trying to do anything else. Also, here's something to note. Is it just me, or does King Harold have the exact same line tattoos as Ripley? Because he has 2 lines going across the left side of his face. Ripley has those same tattoos, doesn't she? Ripley, One Piece. No, hers is just a line going down her face. It doesn't swoop. And also it's just a line going down the left side of her body. So it's not 2 lines swooped. It's not the same. Sorry, I had to double check myself. But in this chapter, Harudin is born. Loki is born. Estrid is a materialistic potential gold digger giant, making things awkward for Harold. These elder giants, and there's 4 of them, which is really weird because we still don't see their faces. They protest to Harold wanting to marry Ida, who is the person that changes Harold's mindset. All it took was Ida beating the stuffing out of him, and he immediately started to second guess himself. He was a jerk for the end of 1 chapter. Also, I'm still kind of swept up with him digging in his nose in the beginning. Don't worry, I'm going somewhere with this. Trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. Him digging in his nose in the beginning and then flicking it off in the sea and then it explodes. Does he have the bomb fruit at this time? Because if Harold dies and he has the bomb fruit, then that would make that fruit go back into circulation, which would then make that fruit become available to Mr. 5 later on in life when we see him at Whiskey Peak. I know I'm making a big assumption here. I still got to read the whole synopsis, but we'll get into, trust me, we'll get into these chapters, all these chapters we got in June tomorrow. But let me pull up the whole summary so I can go over it with you guys. We're also going on break as well. Let me get chat up so I can see what you guys. Let me see. Question, how do we feel about the idea of Mosa possibly being Ida? I don't think Mosa is Ida due to the fact that the Denden Mushi does not have a female appearance, but the Denden Mushi has a beard-like appearance in front of it, which makes me think that Mosa, Shaggy, is indeed Chief Jarl that Loki has been speaking to the whole time. Think about it. All the times especially when Chief Jarl was speaking to Loki all this time, and he was concerned with him, I still vehemently, and yes, I use the word vehemently, believe that Chief Jarl is Mosa. I mean, it kind of seems obvious to me, because the Denden Mushi matches his appearance, and every Denden Mushi takes on the appearance of the person who is speaking through them. His Denden Mushi looks exactly like him, so Mosa cannot be Ida. it can't possibly be Ida, unless Ida is putting on a beard every time she uses a Dendenmushi, and then it makes it look like she has a beard on the receiving end. Just throwing out ideas. This is why you absolutely must spank your kids when they are little so they don't turn out as Estrid or what's-her-face. Yeah, beat your kids. Ain't nothing wrong with your kids getting whoopings. Stop acting like beating kids getting whoopings makes them violent. No, it helps them to understand that if I don't whoop you right now, somebody out there is going to whoop you outside, and they may not be as forgiving as I am. This is to show you that there are consequences for your actions. So don't grow up being rude. Don't grow up being smelling yourself. Don't grow up being disrespectful to people for no apparent reason. You gonna act right while you here, while you young, so that way you don't act out up there, because I want to see you next time. I don't want to view you next time. Ain't nothing wrong with your kids getting whoopings. I got whoopings when I was a kid. Look how I turned out. I'm fantastic. But let's get to the summary here. Sorry, I'm eating up so much of your time, and I gotta get started with Sakamoto Days. I'm sorry. I miss Bernie Mac. I miss him too. I miss parents who discipline their kids and don't let their tablet or the internet tell their kids how they should act or anything. Discipline starts at home. You need to be taking care of your kids. Maybe the government did that because Elbaf is already ridiculously strong, and if somehow Elbaf got alliances from other nations, it's going to be a great disaster for the government. Of course, they're blocking the world government. They're blocking Elbaf from being able to link up with other nations because Elbaf is already a nation full of giants that the world sees as barbaric, save for King Harold making his way around, getting used to everybody, and making it seem like giants are not as bad as they make them out to be. So to the world government, a nation of giants that is capable of getting along with other nations is a nation to be fearful of, because if every other nation is okay with giants, and the giants are okay with other nations, and the giants get well with these other nations, there could be potential for an alliance amongst these nations that includes one of the most powerful races in the entirety of One Piece that could be used against them. And this is the reason why Emu in the present day is turning these giants to subjugate the entire nation. Because they couldn't do it before. Was the giants really the most powerful during the Void Century? That's why Emu really wants giants at Elbaf? Well, think about this. Ancient giants are far larger and far more powerful than your average giant. Dory and Bragi are what you would see as average giants. Loki, with his titanic size, is what you would see as an ancient giant because of the blood within him, and also because of Harold. Because seeing the size of Harold compared to his own men, Harold is massive, while his own men are basically childlike in size. Having a whole nation where you get ancient giants to serve you as mercenaries or personal guards or whatever, you really can't combat that because giants are big. Very big. I believe Emu is huge, but standing next to the Godosei makes them seem tiny. Yeah. Is Emu small, or are they giant size? Emu is regular size. From what we see, Emu is regular size. Emu appears to be like a regular sized person. It's just that sometimes the perspective can be weird. But yeah, they're normal size. I am speculating Emu is Estrid. Emu is a random giant from Elbaf, and not what Emporio Ivankov basically surmised as Emu is essentially a person from the first 20 nations before the formation of the world government, back during the Void Century, back when Joy Boy was still around. I feel like Ivankov, with his knowledge, I'm saying took her form. I don't know. Emu is much older than that. Yes, much older. Centuries older. Possibly, one of the possibly the oldest living being in all of One Piece. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. We'll really get into this talk once we do the reflections for tomorrow, because that'll be perfect time for us to air everything out. Air everything out about all the chapters that we got this month. Estrid got a stank personality. Yes, she does. She over here trying to feng shui the entire castle. Move all of the wealth and jewels into the king's chambers. What for? So that way we can live in a lap of luxury, because I want to be surrounded by luxury and stuff. Personally think Emu is a demon possessing the body of Nefertari Lily and using her as a host. That's my theory. She's been around during the Void Century. True, but here's the thing though. We don't know the fullest extent of Emu's powers. So it could very well be a demon possessing a body, but we just don't know. She made a reference of the 5 mirror. So let me do this summary. As a prince, Harold spent his childhood with Dorian Broggy, and his spoiled and violent personality later in life was due to his immense size, strength, and noble heritage, which made him think he could do whatever he wanted. One day, he sailed by a kingdom in the New World, the Bunt Kingdom, where he saw a female giant named Ida being used as an attraction in a circus. Believing she was being mistreated, Harold destroyed the town and took Ida with him on his ship, but to his shock, Ida slaps him and demands he turn around and go back to the kingdom. Ida explains to Harold that the people of that town in fact saved her when she was washed ashore, and was working in the circus as a job to repay them for their kindness. She angrily told Harold that he considers humans tiny because he is simply larger than others, and it is that arrogance of his that give giants like her a bad name. Let me see here. I feel we haven't seen the other side of Elbaf. I assume where she's from we haven't seen. Do you mean Estrid? Yeah, we haven't seen that. And more importantly, we don't know what Emu looks like. Exactly, we don't know what Emu looks like. Emu, they've been and we don't know if it's female, if they're female or male. We don't know. Which is why I say they, because we don't know. We simply don't know anything about Emu. We do know that Emu is incredibly powerful, being able to turn people into demons, being able to bestow immortality and increase power. We don't know. Don't know, just shooting a shot on all the stuff we know Emu can do for right now until Emu's capabilities and repertoire expands. Emu has a female form, but I think Emu is a void, abyss, total darkness. Isn't that what the symbol means? Yes, the abyss, it's an aspect of the abyss, but Emu does not have a female form because the form is left ambiguous. It is literally a cone shape. It is literally a cone shape, so that does not mean that it's a female person underneath that. And plus, Emu has been cast in shadow the entire time. The only aspect of facial features we know of are just the 2 eyes, which have like rings within them. That's it. We don't even know what the shape of Emu's face looks like. It is just constantly in shadow, constantly darkened. Even in direct light, we don't even know what Emu looks like, or even the texture of the clothes or what type of clothes they're wearing. Just constantly in shadow at all times, like Ebon from Static Shock. You know, dude that was basically a shadow dude, basically a shadow bang baby from Static Shock. We don't see his face because he's always in shadow. That's the same thing with Emu, constantly in shadow. Let me get back to this real quick. Ida's words humbled Harold immensely, and he agreed to turn around and help the people. While he and his crew helped repair the town and apologize for his actions, Harold came to enjoy his time with the humans because he learned so many things. Ida also reveals that she was born in a different country and not in Elbaf as he and the townspeople thought. So Harold invites Ida to come back with him to Elbaf as he had fallen in love with her, and she too for him, to the astonishment of the crew. Bro, I was just speaking about him 2 days ago. Emu is the One Piece version of Marvin the Martian. Yeah, we don't even know what Marvin's face looks like underneath that. It's just jet black. The only female form we know of right now for Emu is them possessing Gunko, which increased her hair length and made her get taller, wings and stuff. I don't even think Gunko got taller. I don't think Gunko even got taller. I think Gunko was possessed and just, gained wings, but she's still the same size, because remember, when Emu, under control of Gunko, summoned that giant shotgun, she was still smaller than Broggy. She was still smaller than Bragi, so I don't know if I don't know if Emu increased Gunko's form. I'll have to go back and look. But we'll address all this stuff we will talk about in the reflections. Let me keep reading. Many years later, Harold announced his plan to journey around the world and atone for his past misdeeds by establishing connections to other countries and letting them share their knowledge with them. Of course, he is aware that Dory and Bragi are still out there causing trouble, but he reasons they won't hurt humans because of their honor, though he promises to rein them in if they become too much. As the years pass, Harold proceeded to meet various people and deepen his relationship with Ida. Eventually, Ida gave birth to their child, Harudin, making Harudin the true heir to Elbaf. But unfortunately, Harold is forbidden from marrying Ida officially and making her queen due to her not being born in Elbaf, though Ida accepted this and agreed to live in a nearby village with Harudin. The woman who Harold would ultimately marry was a woman named Estrid, who came from a village in the north and studied geomancy, though her obsession with omens and signs made her come off as enjoying luxury more than wanting to bring good fortune. Many years later, while Harold was off at sea sharing his knowledge of navigation with other countries, Estrid would give birth to her and Harold's son, Loki. When Estrid saw Loki's unusual eyes, though, she was repulsed and called the infant Loki a cursed monster, and ordered that the kingdom be informed that Loki was stillborn. Estrid then tossed Loki into the underworld while ordering others to claim she didn't bear a child, while also making plans to return home so that she doesn't give birth ever again. To her displeasure, she learns that Loki not only survived being thrown out, but started climbing the tree back to the sun world. Sometime after Loki was born, Estrid fell ill, and on her deathbed, she claimed that Loki must be eliminated as she has foreseen, and this is in quotations, that Harold will be killed by him one day, though no one believed her at the time. In addition, Harold started to struggle with diplomacy because of the world government, and all of these struggles that Elbaf would face were ultimately blamed on Loki's curse. So, we have quite a bit of notes to go through. The events of flashback from the events of 109 years ago before the present continues. King Harold reminisces about his childhood, which reveals he was friends with Dory and Bragi when they were children, and it was because of his ancient giant blood and royal status, which was the cause of his behavior when he was younger. Harold mistakenly comes to the aid of a giantess named Ida, who he thought was being imprisoned at a circus, but she forces him to take her back as she was actually working for him willingly, as they saved her and was living with them to recover. As a result of his relationship with Ida, this resulted in Harold outgrowing his previous arrogant nature and becoming a better person, and he was able to help her at the circus to atone for his earlier mistake. At 105 years ago, sorry, notification popped over and it was blocking words. At 105 years ago, before the present, Harold now wishes to atone for his past misdeeds and creating strong bonds with other nations. At 81 years before the present, Ida gives birth to Harudin, but the elders of Elbaf refuse to allow Harold to marry her due to Ida not being born on Elbaf, though she is allowed to remain in Elbaf. The Elbaf elders arrange for Harudin to marry Estrid? No, for Harold to marry Estrid. They gotta correct that. Estrid gives Harold an 8-legged horse as a gift. Right, it's literally Sleipnir. The Odin's horse from Norse mythology. It's literally Sleipnir. Though the royal guards notice she is only marrying Harold to live a life of luxury. Y'all, I done it. I got my pre-order for Borderlands 4. Awesome! I still need to secure mine. At 73 years before the present, Harold was helping maintain trade between nations and telling stories of his adventures, such as at Fishman Island and their newborn royal heir, Neptune. At 63 years before the present, Estrid gives birth to Loki, but his appearance horrifies her, to which she denies his existence, and Loki is thrown into the underworld. Mind you, Elbaf is excessively tall. So Loki not only got thrown out of a window from one of the highest points of Elbaf, but literally survived The baby didn't die. The baby survived and was climbing up the tree to get back home again. Estrid became bedridden after falling ill shortly afterwards. The infant Loki begins climbing out of the underworld. Harold was having problems maintaining his relationships with other nations due to the world government's actions. It is stated that the misfortunes that would fall upon Elbaf would become known as Loki's curse. And that's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. We are seeing more of the flashback of what will lead to the events of where Loki will be seen as the biggest villain of Elbaf. Now we can kind of get a rough idea of why Loki behaves the way he does. His rebellious nature, his need to feel superior to everyone else. We can blame his mama for throwing him out a window, leaving him to die. Yet she wound up dying and the baby survived. Ain't that some retribution? You didn't like the appearance of your own child, so you throw the child out the window shortly after you fall ill and die, and the baby still survives? Let's see. Never mind, just looked at a picture of Gunko, forgot how on point her leg game was in terms of how long they are. It's all because Gunko doesn't wear pants, so of course her legs will look long. Was not expecting to transition to the Loki flashback so soon, but makes sense since Loki probably wouldn't know of all of what happened before he was born, nor would he care enough to know. Love how the eight-legged horse is even weird for the giants. Exactly. Loki may not join officially with the Straw Hats, but he will be an ally. Maybe Loki still is going to have a role in this endgame of the series. I mean, he's going to. He's literally featured in the mural, the ancient 1,000-year mural for Elbaf that shows Nika and a very tall giant with horns on his head that looks eerily similar to Loki fighting against this giant demon darkness of some kind, along with the rest of the nations. So yeah, Loki has a major part to play in the big fight against Emu. That's pretty much a given. That's pretty much what we gather from the mural itself. Loki has a part to play. Possibly even greater than the Grand Fleet showing up and actually helping out, like it was referenced to all the way back in Dressrosa. I wonder if Loki's eyes have abilities, if he still has eyes, because now there's a thought going through, like, what if, because his eyes, unlike King Harold's eyes, his eyes are black with colored sclera. So maybe they're special. And sure, Harodin used to bully Loki. That was until Loki got bigger. Yeah, why blame the child or hate the child? Parents should accept their child as the way they are, their looks. But if you're a parent who is hung up on looks, you get people like Estrid. If you're hung up on the capabilities of your child and the expectations you have of them, rather than accepting them for who they are, you get parents like Judge. If your child is expected to bring more members to the family, and you basically sell off and marry off your own children in order to expand your entire crew and your nation's, what is it called? What is it called? What is that word? Nation's strength? No, not intrigue. What is the word? Influence, there it is. You marry off your children to extend your nation's influence, you get people like Big Mom. We see things like this happening in real life. Exactly. Parents that have set expectations for their children, and when the children don't meet them, then something's wrong with the child instead of the parent. Some parents that want their children to look a certain way, but they don't want to look in their certain way. So it's like, I know you don't look exactly how I would have liked for you to look, so we're not going to treat you as well as this child that looks as good as we want them to look. So there's parents out there right now that look at their children and expect them to be this imaginary version of their children, and then treat those kids wrong, but treat other kids better. That's the reason why parents should not have favorites. And I know there are parents out there that like spending some time with some children better than others. I know there are, but parents should not play favorites with their children. That's how resentment starts. So much. And the thing is, we see it not only in One Piece, but we also see it in real life, and that's so messed up. The same level of love you have for one child should be the same for the other. Don't look at a child whose appearance is different from your child, from another child, and be all like, "Ugh, you don't look the way I want to," and then look at them with disgust. Oh snap! It's raining outside. Huh? But it's so weird and it's so messed up that there are parents that behave this way. We have seen so many horrible parents in this story. Big Mom, Kaido, Judge. So many bad, horrible parents. And they wonder why their children grow up to hate them. They wonder why these children grow up with resentment towards their parents. They wonder why they rebel. It ain't got nothing to do with like, oh, black sheep should never exist. Kids should get equal love and attention. Exactly. And if one child happens to be problematic, then you spend extra time to make sure that that child doesn't be problematic anymore. Because you start sending these kids to therapists rather than you trying to deal with it at home first. They're going to grow up wondering, how come my parents don't want to deal with me, but they'll keep sending me to this lady who's writing everything down on this clipboard and asking me about my feelings and such. Kuma, Whitebeard are the only good parents in this series, and maybe we include Ida in that. Hey, don't be leaving out one of the greatest dads. Don't be leaving out Yasue. This man, who used to be a literal daimyo over Wano, decided to live in squalor with his daughter and continue to smile and laugh with his daughter in order for her to not feel left out because she was cursed to laugh forever because of those, defective smiles. He did everything he needed to in order to be with his daughter, even up until the very moment where Orochi and everyone else gunned him down, still smiling. So yeah, Belmare. Belmare is a great parent. Yasue is a great parent. Pound is a great parent. This dude literally lacked all strength to defend himself, yet still went out of his way to defend his own daughter, Chiffon. During the whole moment with Oven all the way back in Whole Cake Island. Dr. Cobra, Dr. Hiroluck, Dadan. There are so many good parents. Kuma, Whitebeard are top among them, especially Kuma. Sanji's mother, Sora, exactly. So many great parents in this story, and now we see yet another bad parent. I know I'm getting off on a whole tangent here because I gotta move on. We're already at an hour. And I gotta do Sakamoto Days, and then I gotta do the One Piece reaction as well. I gotta do all of that. But this is just another example of another parent basically causing this. It's because of this mother, because of her, that Loki started to have resentment, and because people started to attribute it, because of what Estrid did, everyone started to look at Loki different. They started looking at Loki different, so if anything bad happened to Elbaf, they blamed it on Loki, all because of what Estrid started. Not because they weren't there, but because it was his word against hers. And being the queen, you gotta listen to the decree of the queen. She knows what she's talking about. But another thing is the whole thing where she says, I foresee that Loki will kill his own father one day. And I'm like, Loki wasn't even in the room when Harold was killed. So that can't even be true. So that was a lie. Because we saw it. Loki and Jarl walked in on Harold being stabbed through the body all around him. Right as the flashback started. He wasn't even the one who killed Harold. So that narrative has already been proven false. But now we're going on break. Seeing all this stuff go down. So seeing more of this flashback is going to be incredibly important for the future of Elbaf as a whole. That's my assumption. But we'll talk more about this. I don't want to go all the way into it because the reflections will be tomorrow, and then we'll talk about every chapter that has happened, which should include the Domi Reversi chapters as well, and Imu's power as well. Another good parent was Tom and Kokoro as well. Jarl is the only person that knows Loki is innocent. The fact that he hasn't said anything, though, it makes me question why. And I feel like we may find out during the flashback and the moment where Loki gets imprisoned in the underworld itself. That should be a very interesting topic to bring up again. How Loki, aside from Shanks beating him and Loki going on a rampage, what causes Jarl not to speak up and say that Loki wasn't the one that killed King Harold? Why didn't he say it? But we'll discuss it. Alrighty, and how can I forget about Tom? Yeah, don't worry, it's fine. There's a lot of good parents in One Piece. It's just that we ain't got time to name them all. But yeah, I think Loki took the blame intentionally. I think so as well. We'll talk about this more. We'll talk about this more tomorrow. Seeing Shanks during this flashback should be interesting to see Shanks bring down Loki. Now, will this be Shanks bringing down Loki during the time when he lost his arm? I think it is, because it was like 6 years that Loki was chained down there, right? 6 years that Loki was chained in the underworld? Should be interesting to see the interaction between Loki and Shanks, and given Loki's titanic size, and mind you, Loki fought Shanks and Shanks beat him while Loki didn't have the chains, the sea stone chains on him. So that means Shanks was capable of taking on Loki when Loki had that unknown devil fruit power he has now. So that also speaks to Shanks' level of strength, that he was able to beat Loki even with that power. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Let's not get preemptive here. I'm done, ladies and gentlemen. I gotta move on to the next chapter of Sakamoto Days, and then move on to reacting to the next episode of One Piece. And then I'm just gonna relax the rest of the day, because I got a lot of things to do tomorrow. It's gonna be a long day for me, because I gotta do One Piece reflections, and then a long reading of Solo Leveling. But yes, thank you, everybody, for stopping by. All my regulars, all my members, everybody else, thank you for tuning in, and thank you for the support. The channel continues to grow onwards to 100,000 subscribers. All I can say to you is thank you for your continued support as we move towards that goal. But it's not an end goal, it's just a halfway point. Hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. And because I know you're coming back anyway. So have a fantastic day, and once again, as always, later peoples, on to Sakamoto Days.